African time isn't what you think it is. Forget what you've heard about Africa being behind the rest of the world, constantly running behind schedule. Because African time isn't what you think it is. This is the Africa we know. A fast and imaginative Africa, a connected Africa, a game-changing, economy-building, groundbreaking Africa, a future-focused Africa, an Africa built by Africans, built by entrepreneur heroes who are here to show up and show others, here to bring a new meaning to the phrase African time, here to change the face of Africa, on time, in time, and ahead of our time. This is our time. It's African time.
Top 50. I would like all of you to give yourselves a round of applause for making it to the top 50. A round of applause wherever you are. You made it. Well done. You know, this is all about African heroes. I know most of you are anxious about who's going to make it to the top 10. Am I going to make it? But because you are here right now in the top 50 means that you are already a hero. So a job well done to each and every one of you. My name is Ansela Mangena and I am your host this afternoon. I'm so excited to be in a room so packed with such young, powerful individuals from across the continent. So from wherever you are, please use the chat box in the Zoom right now. Greet each other, make conversations with each other. Today is an important day. We're not only making sure that you enjoy this conversation, but want to make sure that you interact with one another. You know your fellow top 50 heroes that are here today, and we get to hear more about what you can do and how you can move on to the next stage of the competition and eventually make it to the top 10. So right now, I'd like you to just change your name. If your Zoom name is not your name, please just change it to your name plus your company name. This will make us able to identify you. So throughout this whole 2.5-hour program, we're going to have two different types of sessions. There's going to be a main session where we're going to have speakers such as our judges that are going to give us highlights about the top 50 itself. But more than that, the speakers and the judges are going to tell us about how you can make it to the next round, especially on the next interview round. So for us to be able to know who you are and where you're from and what your company is, please just change your name, your Zoom name, make sure that it is your name plus your company name. So for example, if it was me, it will be Ansela Mangena Ralinka Media. So that's me and my company name. This is absolutely amazing. I hope all of you feel so good about yourselves right now. I hope you're proud of yourselves. I hope that you understand that it's African time and you guys are what we mean when we say it's African time. One last time, a round of applause to everyone who made it to top 50. So before we even get into too much talking and networking with all of our entrepreneurs here, I'd like us to hear from our first speaker, Jason Powell. He's the Executive Director International at the Jack Ma Foundation. He's going to tell us a lot about the highlights of the 2021 Top 50. He's going to share with us some infographics. Listen, Top 50, we had over 12,000 entries this year. 12,000. That's a record-breaking number from all 54 countries that we have on the continent. So you guys are amazing. Jason, please just give us more highlights and infographics about what we're seeing happening with our contestants this year.
Thank you so much, Ansela, for opening the event today. It's definitely African time and it's ABH time. And I can't, be more happy and honored, frankly, to see you all today. From a pool of 12,000 down to 50 is a pretty big feat. And so, I think you all should consider yourselves part of the community. The road to the top 10 is the long one. July 22nd today. We'll go until early to mid-November before we get to the top 10 and then the 1, 2, 3. So it's a long road. It's a rigorous road. Get ready for it. Enjoy it. From all the feedback that we've gotten from all of our previous top 10s, top 50s, there's a few things just to keep in mind. One is the experience itself hopefully will help. We've lined up a number of different experts, judges, mentors along the way. Hopefully you can pick something up in the process. Second is the community, I think, is going to be a great benefit. A lot of our top 50 were able to identify, partners, collaborators, suppliers, you name it, from this community. So I hope you take the time to really take a look at who's beside you. 16 countries and 16 sectors. So this is really diverse group, which is great. And that's really our mission with ABH. We're not only after the high tech, high growth model types, we're after entrepreneurs that are doing what they do and doing it well and are creating impact. And that's really our bottom line. And if I were to put forward a few pieces of advice as you go through the process, and I think our judges later will talk about it, we're really looking to see a few things. One is a clarity in the mission, vision, and values of what you and your company represent. Second, definitely the judges are going to want to see that you understand your business really well and you understand your economics well. We can see that you're making some traction in the market. You've got a great team. And finally, I can't stress this more enough, is that we understand the impact that you're currently making and looking forward to making. So those are some of the pieces of advice from my side. We're really happy that we've got 10% representing Francophone Africa. We've got young in age and young at heart as well. Our average age is about 35, but I think we go from anywhere from 23, 24 to 50. And so it's really a diverse bunch. I'm going to stop here, but I'll just end by saying, it really is our honor that you've trusted us in this process. We're only in our third year, so we'll keep learning. It's not going to be perfect on our end, and appreciate your patience. But I'm confident that throughout this process, you'll find the value that ABH can bring, whether it's the training, whether it's the exposure, and of course, at the end of the day, whether it's the $1.5 million in grant funding that we'll provide. There's a lot more that's up our sleeve. We're not going to stop with the program that exists today. We've got a TV show that's going on CNBC Africa next Tuesday on primetime. We're going to do another show this year. It's going to focus on the top 10. We've been building investor matchmaking one-on-ones with VCs. So the programming doesn't end with the prize. We really are looking forward to a long-term community. Our commitment is at least 10 years. So we're in this for the long run. Thank you guys, and really best of luck.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I think you touch on such key areas of information. You're here for the whole way. You're not just doing 1 year or 2 years, at least 10 years. And everyone in this room right now is going to benefit. So it doesn't mean that if you don't get the 1.5 million, you're not going to be benefiting from the organization. There's a lot of training that happens. There's a lot of publicity that comes with it. So I hope that every entrepreneur in this room right now is thinking about how they can leverage this opportunity, because it's really at the end of the day up to you to use this opportunity to your advantage. That's really key. And everyone here today is a winner. I can't stress this enough. Jason mentioned that we've had over 12,000 entries, and we've got people represented from all over the continent, a large group of women, and even 10% from Francophone countries. So a job well done to everyone there. So today is meant to be a very informal meeting. We're not here to, be all buttoned up. We're all relaxed. We're here to talk to each other as entrepreneurs, get to network, know how we can be better, not just individually, but how we can be better together as a community from the ABH. So right now, so important, I would like us to hear from Eddie. Eddie is one of the judges from round 1. If you're here in this room right now, it means he had something to do with it, because he was part of the group that made this decision for the top 50. Eddie is a very key partner for the ABH family with all of the work that he does within the community itself. He's one of the founders of Organza. He's committed to developing and implementing a unique and comprehensive model aimed at empowering Kenyan youth. That's very important. He empowers the youth by providing an integrated and grassroots approach to peace building through economic empowerment. Eddie founded Organza in 2008. This was all in the wake of the post-election violence in Nyanza, which is the rural province in the west of Kenya. Eddie, please tell us a little bit about what you saw in round 1 and what happened there, what the highlights were, lessons, and most importantly, what our entrepreneurs in the room right now should take note of. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and thank you also for to the ABH team. Michael has been a very good thought partner to this end, and thank you so much for the all team members who now comprise the team of Top 50 who have made it here. I must take this chance also to congratulate you on behalf of ABH. First, for the amazing job that you, among other peers across the continent, were able to put. You know, I looked at ABH's process of application, and I think it's one of the most rigorous processes to put an application for. And it's just amazing how much time, talent, and treasure you put in place to be able to apply and to even make it this far. I am very proud of all of you. And I believe that you are sitting at a time that, you know, the continent is very green, and looking at your businesses, you're going to make a serious transformation for the continent. And that actually leads me to what, you know, at ABH we have been doing, which is basically looking for not just businesses, but businesses that are change making, businesses that are going to make a change for the African continent. So as judges, as we sat and looked at a number of applications in our own different ways, one of the things that we're very key about and we're very critical about were people sending us businesses just because they want to make money, or because this business also informs their purpose. And we were looking at profiling the founders, and more specifically, as you all know, we sent you things like a requirement to send your video, a requirement to send your teams, and a requirement to also share with us a bit about your customers. And through that, we interacted with your purpose. You know, what is it that you're trying to solve? And I think that that is the biggest thing about this competition, is what is your fundamental motivation for being, one, as a founder of a business, and two, as a business in itself. So that the first stop that you are having is just trying to assess the mission. How critical were you in your vision? How critical were you in the purpose for being? And which just boils down to, what problem are you trying to solve, right? And as you're going to the next step, this is something that was very huge for us. And more possibly, as you can see, all of you are definitely solving some problem, and that's why you're the top 50, which is very, very, very interesting for ABH. But then we didn't just stop there. After solving a problem, we are looking at viability, and viability is basically which market are you playing in, and that market is basically informed by the solution that you're proposing to the problem that you are solving. I think that the hidden philosophy for ABH is that money is a reward for solving the problem. And that means that if you're going to be rewarded by somebody for solving their problem, they will reward you very well if your solution is so good. So then we came to looking at what solutions are being proposed for this particular problem. Are you the best placed person to solve for this problem? And that is basically the proposition that you are putting in place in terms of your solution, your business model that then responded very well to the problem. And the fact that you are here, definitely you did very, very well. So some of the highlights that I had that I then saw were just typical business insights, if I may use that word, in terms of how nuanced then do you become in terms of understanding your market. And it starts with understanding your industry. If you're, for instance, you are in a fashion industry, do you actually understand that this could be an industry that is being run by a number of things that are critical to making your business successful, right? And that led us to something that I want to talk about now, but also I wanted to urge you to be paying attention to when you're thinking about your competition in the future, which is coming in a very few weeks. How do you think about your customer, right? Right from the start of producing a product that is customer made, and to the extent with which you are thinking in a very nuanced way of how do you reach your customer. And the most important thing is, what is the customer experience, both with you as a company and then with the product that you're offering them, because those are two different experiences, right? So we were very keen on this at the stage that we were assessing your businesses. But I think that going into the competition that at this level where you're going, customer must be your king or queen, to the extent that you want to be very, very vigilant on, does your product actually have a serious customer experience, both in terms of the quality of product you're bringing up and the quality of engagement they're getting with your product. And even if you think about segmentation, are you even serving the right customer with the product that you're proposing or the service that you're offering them? So these are very, very critical things. But then the epitome of business acumen, when you're running it at this level of competition, one of the things that we learned from people is that there wasn't as much clarity on some people on the idea around what is your business model. Okay, because this is what helps us know as a team that is going to help you in the future in ABH, the networks that you're going to be introduced to help you, even if you don't make it to the next round. What is actually your business model? How do you actually make money, right? How do you ensure return on any investment that you're making? Investment in terms of your talent, investment in terms of your time, and more important, investment in terms of the treasure that is being put into your business. The financial angle to your business was extremely critical. And that's something I wanted to invite you to actually be vigilant of when you're going to the next round, because you're going to the round whereby you're now basically inviting thought partners and even business partners to invest in terms of either time, talent, or treasure that will be very critical to have a return on. And one slight thing that I want to mention lastly, or with regards to this, is the fact that when you've got mission-driven businesses, sometimes some people confuse themselves in terms of building a strong model, because you are not sure whether you want to pursue a more charitable mindset where you're just helping the community with a good business and stuff, and then it becomes very difficult to figure out how you make your money, vis-a-vis just running a serious for-profit business. So it's good to be mission critical, but it's very important to have a very clear business model how you're going to make your money. Now, lastly, when you think about the face of this competition where you're going, right? Because some top 10 people are going to go through, and you might not go through to the top 10. But from where you stand right now, in the eyes of ABH, you are the top 50 best business in the continent. So what will move you forward in terms of taking advantage of this particular phase of the competition and then passed this competition. In my view and my humble submission, I think that you need to start thinking at this moment as a brand, because everywhere where we are going into business in the continent, every door you knock, whether it is ABH or any other competition or any other room that you enter, you need to know that the conversations that are going on in those rooms are about brands. So you need to start thinking of your business as building a brand that is competing in this competition at this phase, but more importantly, that can make you enter other phases of your life as a business as a serious brand. And you have got that opportunity, which ABH is also giving you, that you can now start thinking about what are the global brands that are in the continent in line of your industry, and how do you want to compete in that extent of that brand identity and that brand clarity. So then it means that as you prepare, as you think about your conversation in the pitches you're going to have with the next set of judges, think about yourself as priding on this idea of brand in the industry where you are, so that you are basically looking at yourself in a marketplace where it is brands that do survive the test of time, test of COVID, test of any challenges you're facing in your own community, or even global trends in the business that you are in. So I wanted to invite you just to think about that, because I know that right now the brands that are making waves in the continent, 70% of them are external, and ABH is giving an opportunity to be among the top 30% that will make a conversation in any boardrooms of governments or boardrooms of major businesses. Otherwise, we are here to support you as much as possible. This, where you are, the community is going to be vibrant to help you in any way beyond the competition. And above all, we are very proud of you and hope that you will go to the next level stronger and be able to make your businesses make a difference for the African continent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Eddie, for that highlight. And I think it's very important because the theme today is really congratulations and well done. It's impressive to see the extent of knowledge that the entrepreneurs in the house today have. You mentioned in your talk right now that this process is the most vigorous process that you've ever seen. It's tough. So that because you are here, it means that you are the top of the cream. We're going to be taking a few questions for Eddie. Today, we're allowing you guys to put your cameras on, so don't be shy. This is a networking session. We're all relaxed, so please put your cameras on. I'm happy to hear your voices as well. If you want to unmute yourself, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Feel free to ask the questions and put up your hand, and we'll be able to note your questions, if any. And Eddie, as you were talking, one of the main questions that I saw on my phone right now was people trying to get an insight from you about how they can best prepare for the next round. Now that they managed to conquer everything that round one had, what can they do? I know we're going to touch more on that later on, but high level from what you've seen so far, what are the areas of improvement that are needed for round two?
Sure, that's a good question. I think that one of the things that I would advise is when you think about this level, you are basically pitching, right? And the best pitches are concise pitches, because what they inform these particular forms of level of judges is that you have mastered your business, right? And I think that the way you can outline your pitches is looking at what are the most important facets of your business that you want to highlight. One of it is don't ever lose focus on the problem you're trying to solve. Keep on, that must always recur in all your conversations with the next set of judges. Be very clear about the problem you're trying to solve, and be very clear on the solution you're promoting as addressing that problem, as I said before. And not just solution, be very clear that you are asserting that that solution is the best for the problem you are trying to solve. And then the next idea that I wanted to put across would be what people are you trying to solve this problem for? Are you talking about a market that after a week could be dead, or after COVID is gone, you'll not be selling masks, for instance, right? What is the market you're trying to address? Segment it very clear to the judges and show the depth of that market. Size your market, indicate it very well, so that when the judges are thinking about this phase, they're thinking investing in you to be able to solve that problem for posterity. And then the next thing that I think that is going to be critical to this phase, because when you make it to the top 10, definitely ABH is going to invest in you, right? Yeah. And here we're going to talk money. ABH is going to put some money in you at that level. That money is not being put just because we like you, but because we want to be able to help you move to the next level, right? And therefore, I would invite you to very critically think about your finances. And with regards to this particular competition, don't just say you need money to improve operations. I think the more specific you go into what operations you want to improve on, the better you are with this competition, because you are trying to tell us as an institution that actually the investment is going to make a significant impact and a significant difference for your business. So finance, market, problem, need will be something that problem or need, and then solution will be something that I'll be very critical about as you prepare for the next level.
Definitely, Eddie, that's very important. Impact. And I think throughout this whole process, one of the main themes from ABH has been we care about businesses that create impact within the communities in Africa. So it's not just about how much money your business is making. It's not about how educated you are, how big your team is. It's about the impact that you are making within your community yourself. So that's really, really important. So there's a question here from Nick Klopper for you, Eddie. He says that some of the businesses might have customers on the continent of Africa, but also in the international markets. For this event, would you recommend we focus on the African customers or international customers as well?
Thank you so much. So the three levels I talked about, the four things I talked about initially are what ordinarily would be called corporate strategy, which is basically the high level bit of your business, but they are also very specific. But at this point, you also need to think about your operational strategy, which basically is, in terms of your business, what actually is your plan that is practical with regards to where you are starting. You could be starting from your community, but the business is also national, right? There's an opportunity to actually serve nationally. But all those things must be subjected to a plan. I think the judges will be very keen to look at your operational strategy and your plan, whether it is practical, and there's what we call SMART goals, right? Things that are measurable, that you can be able to actually put timeline to them, so that you might have a market niche in the global side of things and also locally. But what will get you there is your operational strategy, or otherwise simplified as
Arriver à ce niveau, c'est un plan d'entreprise, un plan d'action bien pensé qui explique les différentes étapes depuis la conception de votre entreprise jusqu'à son évolution la plus optimale. Il faut cependant penser à agrandir l'entreprise à une échelle raisonnable. Et tout cela doit être articulé dans votre plan, parce que vous ne pouvez pas tout simplement vous lancer dans un marché donné et ne pas être préparé. Je vous remercie. Merci beaucoup, c'était très intéressant. Merci Eddie. Alors, vous tous dans la boîte de dialogue, n'hésitez pas à envoyer vos questions. Je vois beaucoup qui ont...
This conversation today is about just networking and making you get better prepared for the next round. So thank you, Eddie. Please just stay on the call. Should we get any more questions, we're definitely going to come back to you. I reiterate again, if you want to ask a question, feel free to raise your hand. Would like to hear your voices. I don't want to ask all the questions, want to see your faces, want to hear how you sound. So when I see you next time on LinkedIn, I know who I'm talking to. We're here to network, so don't be shy. Make sure that you raise your hand and we'll be able to ask you those questions and answer the questions that you might have. Eddie, thank you so very much for that. And with that, we're going to move on to our next judge, Inutu. She's in Zambia. Inutu is the co-founder and managing director of Pam Golding Properties in Zambia. You know, Pam Golding is one of the biggest in South Africa. It's the leading real estate company in Zambia as well. And the projects that they've done include Makeni Mall, Society House, Roma Park. Listen, I can go on and on and on. Huge projects that Inutu has been invested in. And this is over a period of 10 years. Inutu has been part of the judging process as well for round one. And she also has a lot of insight to share with us. Inutu?
Thank you very much, Ancilla, and welcome everybody, and a huge congratulations to you all on getting this far. It is absolutely amazing that you have the courage. First and foremost, well done to you for actually participating, and an even huger congratulations to making the top 50. As you can imagine, it was a highly competitive process, but congratulations to you all. And Scylla, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can, Inutu. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So we have an amazing group of people here. I can see the various sectors that have been that are represented here. You've got fintech, you have IT, agriculture, health. It's amazing to see the amount of potential that this African continent has. I always say that Africa is a place where we have this huge canvas, and we have an opportunity to actually paint that canvas as Africans, to actually determine what the future will look like. What will Africa look like in the next 30 years? Starts from the decisions that you made 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I think that is something that is absolutely phenomenal. And as part of the Africa Business Heroes community, I want to say a big congratulations to you. Our role as round one judges was really to look at your applications and assess, and this, for me, this process, this time to interact with yourselves is to give you feedback on some of the things that we noticed and where the areas of improvement. So you're going to round two, and that becomes, as I say, like another sifting process that you're going through. Your nerves will be through the roof because you are going to go through another rigorous process. So the best way I can assist you is by giving you feedback, some tough love, so that you can get through to the next round. So I'll give you, I think, some of the stuff Eddie already touched on, the proverbial elevator pitch. You know, you don't have a long time in which to impress someone. So, and sell your business. One of the key things that I find is interacting with entrepreneurs across different sectors is your knowledge of your business. The knowledge of your business should be at your fingertips. You know, you should be able to talk about your business in under 5 minutes that will project, first and foremost, your passion for the business, your commitment to the business, your knowledge of the market, and how you intend to go forward with your business. It's a very, very short time in order for you to do that. So the conciseness should actually be something that you should be looking at very seriously. And practice, keep on practicing. Talk to yourself in the mirror. You know, look at yourself in the mirror. Are you convincing yourself? I always tell people, if you're going to pitch an idea, will you buy your own idea? So look at that aspect, you know, be concise, practice as much as you possibly can. This is going to be a virtual interview. It's not a first-time interview. So I'm going to do something with my camera right now. So, you know, we could either have your camera like that, where, you know, I look like I'm a mouse, you know, make sure that your camera is positioned well, or I could be like this in my camera, you know, where I look like I'm actually literally filling the whole camera. These are little things that actually play a really huge difference when you're having your very first interaction, and this is through a judging process. Hands, you know, try as much as possible to not use your hands as much, because you begin to distract your judges away from your idea, and all they see is, can you see this? You know, and they're looking, and did she manicure her nails? You know, sort of thing. Sorry, I like to add humor to what I do. That's who I am. So you must understand that these things are nuances that people, you know, people look, you know, they can become huge distractions. You can have the greatest idea, but if I'm like this in your screen and I'm talking to you, because I think this is when I'm going to stress my point, you won't be able to really understand my idea. You get so distracted by it. So that's about the visual side of things. And because we're in a virtual environment, it's become more and more important that your visual presentation is what is something that's really important. The second thing I want to talk to you about is remember some key factors around your numbers. They say, what do they say? They say turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king. So understanding your numbers, these numbers, the margins on your business are so key. You know, and these are some of the things, this is the feedback, you know, you're looking at a proposal. Don't forget, on round one, you're not there to explain it to us. We are reading through your document. And when these numbers are not well articulated or really well understood, it becomes, you know, you cannot start guessing. You've got to deal with what you have in front of you. So make sure that you understand your numbers. What is your projection in year 2? It should roll off your lips. You know, you shouldn't have to be shuffling for a piece of paper somewhere. I know that, I mean, for you to reach the top 50, that, you know, those are things that you would be looking at, but this is the feedback that I'm giving, is that you should know your numbers at your fingertips. Your market, if you are looking at growing your business into other areas beyond your local market, so in your local town, into a region, into an international region, and that is part of the reason why you should understand the cultural context of doing business in those regions. Do not assume that every African country is exactly the same. So do a little bit of research around that, especially if you're looking at going into other regions. If you're looking at taking your business into Zambia, for instance, you should be able to understand what is the population of Zambia, what is the existing competition in that particular market segment that you're going into that particular country. That gives confidence that you actually have done the time and the research. If you're looking at strategic collaborations and partnerships with people in order for you to access those markets, understand who are the key players in those particular markets. That's how you begin to grow your business footprint. And also what it does is that it shows that you understand your local market, your regional market, and a larger market. If you're looking at exporting into regions such as the US, what do you understand about the AGOA initiative? If you're going into the African continent, how can you best leverage your business with the Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement? These are things that would actually be able to position you well. Another area, your next round is a judging process. So anticipate the objections to your business model. So play the devil's advocate, right? So you're actually anticipating, if I'm asked this, how would I respond to this? If I'm asked this particular question, how do I respond to that particular question? So anticipation is very good because that helps you as part of the preparation. What they're looking for is, do you understand your business? When you are asked a difficult question, which I'm sure you are, because we've all been down the entrepreneurial road looking for investment, we are asked difficult questions. Don't lose that confidence. You see it so often. A difficult question comes and it's something that you have not addressed. Don't lose confidence. Don't lose sight of, as Eddie said, the problem that you're solving. To be composed and to go back to what problem you're solving exactly. So these are a few tips. If your business model is around franchising, please just understand how you're going to franchise your particular business model. How will the franchise fee? Is it a one-cent? What kind of support will you be giving your franchisees during this time? So these are all the things that one looks at when we're, when you're assessing a business model. I talk about franchising because I'm a franchisee of Pam Golding, and I've been involved in franchising before. So it's something that, one has a lot of understanding about. So how you're going to handle your operations, Eddie talked about that. I don't think I'll go into that. That was one of my speaking points as well, but it's good to see that Eddie and I are flowing. We're talking about similar things. So yeah, I think, look, don't lose confidence when you have those difficult questions to answer. Do have a plan B, because that's another thing. What is your plan B if you don't get this funding? And that is if you don't make it to the second level, if you don't make it past that, what is your plan B? Because investors and judges look for what is the alternative to really understand that. I hope this is not where it's going to end, at this level. If you're 10xing your business, be realistic about how you're going to 10x your business. If you're making $2,000 this year, and you're looking at making $20,000 that the following year, you've got to look at really justifying how you expect your business to 10x over that period of time. So really, that's what I wanted to share with you today in terms of feedback from myself as a judge. And I really wish you all the best. If you have any questions, please go ahead, shoot.
Thank you so very much for that, Niti. And I think between you and Eddie, there's this common theme of understanding your market. And I love that you touch on confidence. And you mentioned earlier that you like to add a little bit of zest and spice in your presentations. So I'm going to put you on the spotlight just a little bit. If you're going to give our participants an idea of how to play the devil's advocate for their own businesses and they role play with themselves, how could they do it?
Okay, you have put me on the spot. So let me think about a business. Let me think about, I don't want to think about real estate. I want to think about something else altogether.
Sure.
So I have been in business for 3 years. This is Business X that supplies medical equipment to government. Okay, let's say that's my business model. I'm supplying medical equipment to government. The question I would ask myself is, one of the key factors we must always understand for an African country, and this is about the cultural context. If there is a change in regime, how is your business going to survive post change of your regime? Because you would then be looking at a 5-year business cycle. So that's the question I need to ask myself. So that's playing devil's advocate now. If there's a change of regime, what is my continuity plan? Because the fact that I'm supplying medical equipment to government means that I have established government relationships. And if I'm looking at my African country, there could be a change in government, which could ultimately impact the viability of my particular business, which will then have an impact on my revenue, which will then have an impact in what I can do socially and an impact in my community, employment. So all of that. So that is the question I would then ask myself. What would I do? What is my plan for my business? So do you want the answer as well, or can I just ask the question?
I can leave it there. I think you did good enough. Thank you so much. A lot of people loving your insights here. There's a message from Mulusi Odiwa from Women Choice Industries, who says, wow, thank you so very much, Inutu. I love how you tackled the psychological aspect of all of this, which is really key and very, very important. So Inutu, please also just stay on in case we get other questions coming on. I'm going to make sure to bring you up here as well. Thank you very much. And participants, do not forget, this is your opportunity. It's not only a platform for the speakers and myself as your host. I know my voice is nice, but it's not about me or the speakers today. It's all about you. The spotlight is on you. So make sure to ask all the questions that you can possibly have, because this is your opportunity to shine. This is your opportunity to make sure that you're ready for that round two. Inutu spoke a lot about expectation. Heck, she even showed you how to sit and how your camera should look like, etc. So make sure that you ask any questions that you might have. This is your opportunity so that you can make it to the top 10. Next up, we're going to have Vanessa. Vanessa is going to touch a lot on round two, touch on questions that we think you might have. She's going to touch on some tips and tricks to make sure that your presentation and your interview process works best. Vanessa has over 20 years of experience in the healthcare space, as well as the investment banking space, primarily in the United States and in Hong Kong. Vanessa was the head of Emerging Asia Healthcare Investment Bank at JP Morgan. She has been working in the biotech industry, and she's got an MBA. Listen, she's got it all. And she's going to help you prepare and answer some of your questions that we think you might have for round two. But make sure that you write your questions or put your hand up, and we'll make sure that after Vanessa, all of our speakers so far can answer any questions that you might have. Vanessa, take it away.
Thank you, Ancilla, and congratulations to you all. I am as excited as you are in terms of being here. This is my second year being a second round judge. And every year, I think this is a better and better competition, because the competition quality has increased significantly, as I heard, and there are 12,000 this year. So I think you've heard all the congratulations from all of us, and I don't think I need to repeat myself anymore. So I think previous, I think from Eddie and from Inutu, they have all pretty much touched upon the key factors, right, in terms of what the judge will look for. For second round, this is the first time that you talk to us in person. So I think I would just add to sort of a bigger, broader, holistic sense in terms of how and what we're looking for, in addition to what the technical aspect that the two previous presenters just talked about. I think to a certain extent, right, you are building a relationship with the person across the screen, right? And I can be sitting in Hong Kong, you can be sitting in Nigeria, and I think this is unfortunately for us, right, in the sense that we have COVID, we have travel restriction, so we are sort of limited to the presentation through the screen. So you then have an additional challenge on how to win your audience, right? It can be two judges plus a Alibaba Foundation, helper, right? And it can be the next round, a couple more people. So to the extent that you're trying to build a relationship, I think we have to do it through clarity, and we have to do it through passion, and which I don't doubt that you have the passion, right? Because the fact that you're here, you have to have a certain amount of passion for what you are doing. So for I think for the sort of last year, I looked at pretty much, I think 6 or 7 healthcare applications, and I think of all of them, the passion came through, right? But on the other hand, there are certain aspects that are, of particular importance. I think that, some did better and some did not do as well, right? So, as an example, MDAS, last year's second place winner, was one of the interviewees that I talked to. And I think the highlight from my interview with him was that throughout the conversation, I learned that actually the business that he built as of today was not the original business that he was thinking of. And this is actually, I think, a process that a lot of entrepreneurs need to go through, right? Because as a daytime VC, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, we work with a lot of businesses, and no businesses, to to the perfect world, right, can be perfect. We are, to a certain extent, adapting as the environment change, and that's how you build great businesses. And to an entrepreneur side, when you are presenting to us, as a second round candidate, I think a lot of time you become sort of a beholden upon your own success or the urgency to show your success, right? So I think the human aspect of going through change is actually very important, right? Because you need to tell us what you've gone through, right? Because then we know, oh, okay, you have gone through this, and with this, you learned that, right? And through that, you became a better entrepreneur, and your business become a better business. So I think the lessons is that we have to have a certain amount of self-awareness, and not be, to a certain extent, not be ashamed of failure, right? Because ups and downs are normal in human life and businesses. And it is to adapt, adapting the environment and adoption, and in a way, you're resilient, that show your passion for what you're trying to do. And this is actually very, 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 very important, I think. And as we have told you many times, right? We are not looking for the most high-tech solution. We're not looking for only super scalable e-business, etc. Right? In the broader sense, this is supposed to be an impactful business, right? It can be a local business, it can be a community-oriented solution. But on the other hand, we do want to have a sort of a humility in terms of how do you look to build your business, right? So I think that is from my experience last year, and as a daytime VC, we see that as the most important aspect of the sort of a human side, right, of building a business. And the other thing that I would like to touch upon is when you are, say, for example, we talk about the fashion industry just now, right? When you are building a certain business and when you're in a certain sector, it is important that you understand your sector, right? But when I think Inichi was saying, her example on being your own devil's advocate, and I would challenge you guys to have one more level in terms of that thinking, because a lot of times, say for example, if continuing Eddie's example of having a business in fashion, right? So if you have an industry in fashion, if you have a business in fashion industry, and your industry, say, for example, doing recycling clothing material, then I would challenge you, right, in terms of thinking the broader sense of the fashion industry, right? Because say the fashion industry nowadays are, is it overpopulated with consumerism? Are we still engaging in promoting people to buy, fast fashion, right? Is this a, viable business in 5 years if fast fashion is, becoming, sort of out of trend, right? So it is a, obviously nobody has the one-time answer for these big questions, but you need to be aware of the sector big trend in terms of big topic, right? Because if you are promoting something in the fashion industry, then you most likely need to address fast fashion and consumerism and material, in terms of waste and in terms of overconsumption. And if you're doing something in the sneaker industry, it's the same thing, right? Because sneaker industry is, when you look at it, a lot of time overconsumption, and Target is that, right? In the sense of, there are people that owns 100 pair of sneakers. And if you're building something that are, say, for example, on sneaker material, are you legitimately building an impactful business? Is it good impact or is it bad impact? I think that is something that we would like to hear from the candidate in terms of how they think about these broader questions in each sector. So that's something that I think if you have time, and I would think that as an entrepreneur in the beginning of a stage of building a business, you would want to think about 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, what is the big trend in your sector, and how does your business fit into that trend, and can you be that trendsetter, right? And can you address that trend? and or can you be a better, sort of leader in the newer angle of the sector? So that's I think the broader holistic view of how we look at industry. And the other thing that I would like to touch upon is from a human side, right? I think a lot of time we have the discussion earlier, say, how do you build your team? How do you build your sort of your growth plan? So what is a growth plan, right? So obviously you have your financial numbers, you have your projections, etc. But to the extent that I think healthcare is actually the other extreme, right? Because if you have a biotech business where you're doing R&D, you're developing a drug, and when I talk to a scientist that say I'm building a sort of a company that is focusing on developing oncology drugs, so drug for say lung cancer, and it's sort of pointless to a certain extent, right? For me to ask him or her at this moment, at the beginning of time, give me a projection in 5 years, right? Because one, it has to match your own product, right? Say the extreme case is R&D based biotech company, right? Whereby it will be cash burn for the next 10 years before the drug comes out. So projection 0 or negative, right? And whatever that you give me in terms of your growth from year 11 down, it means nothing to me, right? Because I think if you really understand finance, if people give you 10 years, financial 10 years down the road, you would know that garbage in, garbage out, right? Because by then, who knows what's going to happen? So it has to be, to the extent that we have financial, it has to be relevant to what you're doing, right? And I give credit to all the judges that we should understand what your business is and how that numbers matches your business. Because if a biotech company tells me that they will have 2 million revenue next year, I would say that's probably not correct, right? And it's pointless to project out on a very good looking projections with numbers that are not relevant and not achievable. So I think, again, right, it's a matter of being truthful and being honest with the process and the process of building your business, right? And I think a lot of time, we have a pressure on ourselves to show numbers, but in reality, especially for companies that are using technology-based products, right? Technology and science takes time. And if it is really taking time, and it really does take some effort to get to a certain ramp up, then it is what it is. And I think you would just need to explain your financial model and don't be shy about it, right? Because R&D and technology and investment in that segment are in fact what builds the future, right? So I would urge you to have, in a sense, a true understanding of your financial, but on top of that, you should think about how you will invest, right? In terms of building a bigger business, in terms of R&D, cash burn, yes, cash burn is okay as long as it is justified, right? So I think to us, or at least from a daytime healthcare VC perspective, understanding how to build R&D based business is also very important, and understanding how to invest in R&D and human is also very important. And going back and extending this discussion a little bit to the human side, building a team, I think touch upon a little bit, is that if you have a business across in a different country, can you legitimately reach that, and how do you organize your resources? And I think we've seen businesses that are to a certain extent grand in thinking, right, but hard to justify how, right? And I don't mean justify by you must have everything in order to justify it, but is how do you get your resources to get to the next phase, right? Because you can say, oh, I have an aunt that knows certain thing at certain country, and therefore I can leverage, etc., etc. It can be really as simple as that, right? That you have your own human network to leverage, and therefore you can go to certain places and build your own business, right? And it doesn't, we sit out here in Asia, right? I worked with emerging Asia, companies all the time. I think people in emerging countries, emerging markets, right, think about businesses slightly different from, say, traditional US and European counterparts, right? And I think we tend to be a lot more flexible. We tend to be a lot more nitty-gritty, right? We roll up the sleeve and we do the work. And I think you have to be flexible. You have to, adapt to different situations. And it is really human businesses, right? No matter what you do, I think for early stage company, a lot of time is about human. So ability for you to tell us, right, the judges, on how you leverage your network of human and capital resources are very important. And I think that would differentiate and choose, as Linichu said, sort of tell the story on how you plan on building and how you can leverage and how you understood your own sort of ecosystem, right? Because I think we are all sort of a network of human doing organizing and able to create out of sort of a limited resources, right? And I think the entrepreneurship process is it won't be pretty, it won't be all perfect, but it is the process of building a company. I think at this earlier stage of your life, business life, that we're trying to help. And as a VC, I think I give credit and respect for every entrepreneur who try to start their own business.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you. And I think you touched on so many important things, because a lot of young entrepreneurs always feel so much pressure to say, my business is valued at $10 million or this. And I think you touch on such an important aspect. And ABH is not really about how much money and fake and false valuations, but be very practical. I think that's what your message has been about. Be practical about where your business is, be practical about your numbers, think through all of that, and not just try to, make your business look bigger than it is by giving 10-year plus valuations or growth prospects. So it's okay wherever you are, whatever stage your business is at right now, it's okay. Just have a plan for growth, a realistic plan for growth. Vanessa, please don't go. I see that I've got a couple of questions for you. Thank you so much to everyone right now. My inbox, guys, is lighting up. I see entrepreneurs are so ready to get into the top 10. They're so excited to get moving. I see you, Mampo. Tuli, I see you over there. Hakiza, you guys are amazing. Mike, I see you. Lucy, Odiwa, Haptamo, Tadisi, I see all of you all there. And I think we've got a question. I don't know who it's from, but there is Khadija, who is from Praxi Labs, who's got a question. Khadija, you can put your mic on and your camera on and far away with your question.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Khadija. I'm the founder of Praxi Labs, and I have got a quick question here. So I heard some best practice and tips about round 2, but I'm not sure if I missed like the overall structure, how it will be. So a 5-minute pitch and then Q&A. So is there like specific template, for example, for the pitch? Some competitions require that, or it's as we see how it goes, and also how many judges are there? Do we know the judges in advance? So a quick question or some more information about round 2.
Thank you so much for that. Jason, would you want to take that?
Oh, thanks for that. Let me pass this to Michael, because I know he was going to go through this whole section in detail. So Michael, do you want to just jump into that now, or are you going to leave it for the later part?
Could you repeat the question again?
Sure.
Angela? Hello?
I see if I could go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I was just asking Michael about the exact structure. So I understood that it's 5 minutes pitch, and then 50 minutes Q&A. So first of all, about the pitch, does it have to be specific template or specific points to cover? Because some competitions require exact points to be covered there. This is number one question. And also, how many judges are we going to have? And do we get to know the judges in advance? Because sometimes for myself, I love to know who's going to be meeting and do some research about them, etc. So are we going to know them, or it's just like we meet them on the spot? That's all.
Thank you, Khadija. Your first question, the structure of the pitch. So we don't have a specific requirement for the structure. So because we send your profile application before the interview to the round 2 judges, so they have basic understanding of your business proposal. So that means, doing your pitch is mainly storytelling. Introduce, just mentioned, and Eddie and Vanessa, mentioned about a lot about, how should you tell the story? How do you, structure, your presentation in that 5 minutes to let, to let the judges to get to know you and your business better. So the second thing is, for the, sorry, the second thing is what? Sorry, can you come again?
Yeah, how many judges?
The judges. Yeah, 2 judges. There are 2 judges. Sorry, there are 2 judges for each interview. So, however, we cannot disclose the judge's name, before the interview. So when you get to the interview, you will know who are the judges.
Okay, great. Thank you for the answer.
No worries.
Ancila, I wanted to help.
Thank you. Yes, Eddie, go ahead.
Yeah, so Adija, I think that that the first part of a pitch is very critical, and people structure their pitches differently. And probably I might have some idea, but it's not custom made to everyone, but probably can give you a way of just thinking about your own way of pitching. You want to be sure that the judges have got a 360 idea of who you are, what your business is, and the impact you're trying to make. So if you come to think about it in a simple way, probably it's like 4 P's, right? The first P is like your purpose, right? Your purpose as an individual, your fundamental motivation for being in business, and the purpose of your business, which are addressed as what need are you identifying, and what solution are you proposing for that purpose for which you're motivated for. Then the second thing is the product. What product are you bringing in the market? Probably the service industry is still a product really in this context. But essentially, what is your product and how is it exciting in terms of the customers you're looking at, the market you're playing in? But generally, highlight something about the product you're bringing in the market and why it is important, not just for your business, but for the people of the community that you're trying to serve in. The third one, which I think that even Vanessa tried to stress on very strongly, is the people, right? Which people are you impacting, but more importantly, which people are you working with? That's why things like a team is critical to highlight. The fact that probably if you're thinking about going outside in other markets, are you thinking about delegating? Is your structure around the team important? Is your future vision for your team clear? So the people element is very important for the business. And then the last one, which is of course very critical, that will then interrogate your finances and other element, is the process. Take your judges through the process with which you're going to move about developing your product from where it is right now, going to your scalable levels, but also more importantly, how are you going to achieve the things you talk about in your market and your business? What is your process? What is your plan in a very high level kind of operation? So those are like 4 P's that can actually easily help you think about structuring your pitch in a 5-minute conversation with the judges.
Thank you so much, Eddie, for that. I see everyone is so fired up. Everyone is so hungry for that top 10 spot. Before we go to Michael, who was our next and final speaker in this part of the event, I would like to just get Jason back on just for an additional few words. Jason? Jason, are you here? Okay, we seem to have lost Jason there. Michael, maybe we're gonna just throw this back to you first, and then we'll bring back up to Jason, as well as I see a couple of hands up, and then most of the questions I'm seeing here, Michael is going to answer. And then if your question is not answered, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll have a bigger conversation. Michael is the head of this prize, so all of the questions that you have, he's going to be able to answer. Michael, over to you.
Thank you, Angela. I think Jason is back. Jason, you want to say something before I do? Yeah. Oh, no. All right.
Okay, you can go ahead, Michael, and then I'll just keep an eye for him and we'll bring him back soon after you.
All right. All right. So I know it's a casual meeting, but I have to prepare like PowerPoint. So can Yuhang help to share the PowerPoint, please? Right. So I am very happy to see those faces because we work really hard since January and prepare for the launch, prepare for the core applications, upgrading the system, the website, and then doing all these application workshops. You might be in part of some of them, and then and I know Angela was in hosting some of them. So and then we gone to the judging process. You might thought this is only one round of judge. It's actually no, because we have 12,000 applications. We need to use different group of all volunteers to help us to screen the process, screen the applications, and then get to here. So when I look at your face, it's just looking at my, sorry, my metaphor is my baby. So I really happy to see that. So my name is Michael, the project manager at ABH. So next slide, please. This is the key stack of this year. You guys from 16 countries and covering, 16 industries and sectors. Top 10 sectors like manufacture, energy, construction, retail, business service, etc., etc. So we got 38% female representation, and you also can see on the map we got quite a lot of applications from the west, the east, and also the south. Next, please. Like I said, I try to explain the process. This is in the middle of the application of the screening process. 12,000 applications. We do pre-screening to 800, and then we do a round one to top 50. So next round we will select the top 20 based on the round two judges scoring, and then after that we will do a due diligence. Basically, we hire PwC, to do due diligence on your company, on your financial, on your team, etc., etc. So after due diligence, who passed the due diligence will be, will be up for the next round. Basically, is the semi-final. So meeting our 7 renowned judges, and that's how the top 10, being selected. So after that, we will get into the the finale. That's a much anticipated finale. 2019, we had a chance to do it offline in Accra. Over 1,000 people were there, and then we put on an amazing show. And 2020, even under COVID, we managed to do the pitch across the continent, and then in the 14 countries across the world. And using virtual meeting and sending crew to the candidates and to judges, and put together a very good episode and show, and it to be aired on CNBC Africa next week. So that's what Jason just mentioned in his speech. All right, so I think you are waiting for this one, so I'm get right into it. So the objective, round two. So the round one judges already gone through, your written application, seeing your videos, saw your kind of company, PowerPoint presentation, and also your financial statement. But so it's a time, for two judges to have a virtual face-to-face interview with you. The purpose is to get more understanding, deeper and further understanding of your, based on your written response, and also to know you individually and who you are, what's the personality as a person, and also to provide feedback to you, also face to face, to let you know how they think, what kind of things you need to improve in the future. In terms of format, it's a Zoom call, so the Zoom link will be sent to you very soon. So each of you will have a unique Zoom link, and you have to register, and then to make sure it's on your calendar. And there will be two judges, two judges, interview one candidate, and your teammate can join, but they have to make sure their video and mic to be on mute. So we have to interview the applicant, which is the founder himself or herself. So the structure of it, like I said, 5 minutes introduction. So Eddie just stressed the importance of it and what kind of elements we need to include in this 5 minutes to impress the judges. So I don't want to repeat that. So we will spend a lot of time, big chunk of time, to really deep dive into Q&A. Judges will be having all sort of questions, including judges. The guest speaker just mentioned financial is the big one. So last year we spent a lot of time looking at financial. We also spend quite a lot of time looking at solution, right? Because solution is very, very important to the problem you address, which is whether it's unique and whether having the market traction. So make sure your feedback or your answer is straightforward, to the point, and to just mention, play the devil advocate and predict, anticipate what kind of different questions or difficult questions you will be asked. So after the Q&A section, there will be a feedback section. So basically, two judges will, based on the written application, the 5-minute pitch, and a 15-minute Q&A, to give you feedback and how do they think you need to improve in the future. So that basically is the structure of the interview. So the period. Sorry, can you go back? Yeah, the period of the interview will be start from next Monday to August the 9th. So you guys will have a unique link and unique time slot, which will be sending out soon to your email. Please remember, check your email and also register on Zoom. Last but not least, how to prepare, right? And then last year I was part of at least half of the interviews. So I see a lot of founders, they make very good preparations. So, but some of them, when they talk about, when the judge is asking about financial, they just don't have the answer at their fingertip. So this is not ideal, because you're supposed to know your numbers better. So you should know your numbers, at your fingertip, just like Inutu just mentioned. So financial statement, financial information, cost, revenue, profits, margin, unit economy is very, very important. A lot of judges will ask it, and you ask to the bottom of it. So second thing is markets, like I just mentioned, addressable market, and what is your strategy, to acquire this market, and number of customers, active customers, pay customers, free customers, pay member, free member. If you're running an online business, unique visitors, active users, those are things you have to know, and you have to, just give the strict answer back, out to the judges. Finally, you know, if you have samples, you know, you have visual aims, you have, you know, anything that can help you to explain what your service or solution, bring it and show it. I think that's really helpful, you know, for the judges to get a visual and understanding, you know, for what kind of service and product you are providing. Next, please. Okay, so this is the scorecard. So so basically the round 2 judge will be assisted with or supported with a online marking system. So while they're talking to you or interviewing you, so they will be marking down, you know, their score, your scores on the system. So based on these 7 criteria. One is the mission, vision, and value. So this is easy to understand, you know, what's your purpose, why you do what you do, right? And then what about your passion? Why are you passionate about it? So the second thing, like I said, is important. So what problem you're trying to solve, you know, what kind of needs, you know, you're trying to address. The third thing is solution. So your solution is effective, is unique, is scalable. So something you need to really ask and also, you know, try to practice and rehearsal. And market traction, you know, what's your competitiveness, right? And then what's your, you know, marketing strategy? What's your acquisition strategy? You know, things like that. You need to really clearly, you know, respond to the judges. Financial revenue model, we just talked about it. Team is very important because, you know, when we do these, you know, VC sections, you know, venture capitalists, they always focus on team, you know, not only the founders and also the team, how strong the team it is, because, you know, this business model may not work, but if you have a strong team, and then you can tackle, you know, other things. So the team is very, very important. The last but not least is the future plans. So what you're going to do in the future, and what about you get the first prize, or how do you going to spend the money, you know, for from ABH. So that's what we're interested to know, because we do, you know, want to invest in people having plans, and that plans basically align with ABH visions. So I think that's pretty much for the nitty-gritties. So last but not least, I want to really promote the show. Can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, so I just want to spend a little time to talk about it, because it's also my baby, it's also our baby. So because we spend quite a lot of time and effort to make this show. And last year we sent crews to 14 countries, you know, to shoot the footage. And the top 10 heroes are really, you know, tough and creative, you know, joining a reality challenge under the pandemic. And, you know, they creating a really unexpected buzz, you know, for the reality challenge. So stay tuned next Tuesday on CNBC Africa. So we will premiere the show. So yeah, that's it for me. Angela, back to you.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I think you've touched on a lot of questions that I've been seeing on the chat box. So a lot of people have so many questions. I know we're behind time. However, I think those questions are very pertinent, because everyone is trying to understand more about how they can get into that top 10 and what they can do next. So I'll just give about 7 to 10 minutes just to answer a few of these questions. I know we're behind time, but those are really critical questions from our audience right now. Just to summarize, in case you missed a few things that Michael spoke about for the next round and all of this pitch in general, you need to make sure that your mission and vision and value statements are there, that you understand them, they're in your core, in your bone. So you need to understand what those three aspects are. You need to understand your problem. All of our speakers from day one until today have been speaking about problem or the need for your business or your platform. So make sure that you have that. You need to make sure that you know and understand what solution you're giving to whatever part of the continent you're on, or even better yet, the entire continent, so that the judges can understand your business better. Make sure that you understand what your market traction is. Very, very important. Vanessa spoke about numbers, so make sure that you understand what your market is, who they are, how you're going to get them, what your plans are, what your marketing strategy is. All of that is key to this. Understand your financial and revenue model, and Inucha spoke earlier about being able to change very quickly, because on round 2, you might be challenged even on your model. So be that devil's advocate and think about how, if I'm challenged in this way, how do I tackle this question? That will really set you up above the rest, and make sure that you've got your team in place. If you're like me, you're a communicator, you're an innovator, but it's more artistic and more creative. Make sure that you've got somebody. If it was me, for example, I have somebody who deals with finances within my business, because that's not my strongest suit. I'm great with marketing, understanding the business, but then you need a numbers person. So understand what your role is within the business, and make sure that within your team, you've got people that fill in all the other gaps and holes that you can have in your business, because you can't be everything for your whole business. So that's very, very important. And Michael touched on now future growth plans. Very, very important. Make sure that they're there. But as Vanessa said, be realistic. Don't go around giving 10-year plans that are not realistic and giving figures that don't make sense at all. So in a nutshell, that's what Michael spoke about. I'm going to take a few questions that I've seen on here now. I know that we're behind time, but let's take a few of those questions. I will start first with Ebinabo Offrey, who said, do you have to have an ask if you are currently raising funds in your 5-minute pitch or introduction to the pitch? Michael, would you like to take that?
Yeah, can you come again to the question? Yeah.
So the question is, do you need to have an ask if you are currently raising funds in your 5-minute pitch or introduction to judges in round 2? Ebinabo, would you like to come on maybe and clarify your question better for Michael? Ebinabo, are you here?
Thank you. So the question was, during your pitch,
yeah,
usually in the last slide or so, you state how much you are raising. And I noticed during your presentation, you didn't mention anything about that. So is it important to state how much you are raising during that pitch in the second round to the judges?
Yeah, I think that's definitely will be helpful, but I defer the question to Vanessa later. But from my point of view, I think that's definitely helpful for the judges to understand what stage you are in, right? And then how mature your kind of business it is. So I think it's going to be very helpful to give judges some context about your how much you're raising and your raising history. So
can you guys hear me?
Yes, please.
Hey, just to answer that question, if you can hear me, sorry for my connection. It's not necessary. Every entrepreneur is at a different stage of their investment life cycle and where they're raising or not. If you are in a position where you are, I think you have that option to consider it. But of course, 5 minutes goes fast, and this competition, this next round, it's not a raised question. So we're not looking at it from an investment point of view per se. Ultimately, you are competing for $1.5 million in shared grant funding. So I would leave it up to each entrepreneur, but I don't think it's a requirement.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope you answered, Ebinabo. For now, we'll
Yes,
move
it
on
is.
to the other questions. I see there's a lot of people who are asking about the dates. So just get ready now, because each and every one of you are going to receive an email with your interview date, which is going to be from between the 26th and the 9th of August. So that's just in 4 days' time. So please feel free to get ready. You've got the weekend to make sure that all of your things are in order. Aja Soro has her hand up. Aja? Your mic is off, Aja.
Bonsoir à tous. I'm sorry I speak French, so I will continue in French. It's better for me. So, j'aimerais savoir si nous pourrions
Good
avoir des...
afternoon, everyone. I would like to know if we could have feedback on our applications before the interviews so that we know our strengths and weaknesses on the way we presented the activities. Second thing, would it be possible to see a part of the past interviews so that we can have an idea of how it goes? Only if it is possible. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Aja. Michael and Jason, would you like to tackle that?
I can answer the second one. In the first one, I'll defer to Michael, but thank you for your question. In terms of I would say a good example of a 5-minute pitch, there's no better place than to go to the 2019 finale. You can find the top 10 pitches on our YouTube site and watch them. They represent essentially multiple rounds of going through training and pitching, and I would say they sort of perfected their 5-minute pitch, and so that could be a good sample for you all to look at. So it's the 2019 finale for the ABH, the top 10 pitches. They're available online.
Thank you, Jason. Michael, for the other question.
Yeah, the answer is positive. So we are going to review all the feedbacks that for the round one judges provided, and then we will make it available for you before your interviews.
Thank you, Michael. And I see there's so many people on the chat session asking for Michael's presentation. We're going to make sure this presentation is emailed to everyone. So you can feel free, you'll be able to go through each and every line on that presentation and see what was spoken about. So don't worry about. Samhal Guesh also has her hand up. Samal?
Thank you. Congratulations, everybody.
Sorry, Samal, if you're not speaking, please just make sure your mic is turned off so that we can hear the speaker when they're speaking. Samal, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can. Just project a little bit because you're a bit low.
Yes. My question goes to Michael. I saw on your presentation there will be a one slide for the financials, but financials can go in dates or in detail. Are we talking a financial snapshot like we prepared on our applications, or are we talking in dates? I would love to hear a highlight or a kind of example towards that. And is there a kind of template that we can follow? And then my second question is, within this mission to criteria to market projection, do we present that verbally due to like on question and answer, or do we have, can we share a presentation to elaborate more? Thank you very much.
I got your first question. I didn't get your second question. Can you say that again? Hello? Angela, did you get the second question?
Simone is still here. I think she is. Maybe you can tackle the first one and then she's going to come back for the second.
All right. So yeah, based on our experience last year, that Vanessa can chime in here anytime. So the judges were looking for a snapshot, and definitely, but some of the judges would dig deeper. And then, when this situation happened, you should get your detailed statement ready.
I think just to add, I think from my end, we looked at a little bit more in terms of the relevance, right? Sometimes when you're building, as I mentioned before, a business that is cash flow intensive, in this cash burn intensive in terms of more investment in R&D, then it's harder for you to project out, and that's fair, right? But whereas if you're selling already units in the market, then I think you would then be beholden to that, right? And need to have a little bit more detail. So I think have some faith in the judges and explain how and what you're projecting.
Definitely. And I think we have such an esteemed panel of judges. So have that faith and know what they're doing. They understand every aspect of so many industries. So you're in great hands. I'm going to take two final questions. And the first one is from Nick Klopper from Herex. Nick?
Hi, Ancila. Thank you for taking my question. Just a quick question with regards to confidentiality. I just want to understand how the arrangement with the respective judges are with regards to confidentiality. I'm sure we'll, specifically when it comes to, product market fit, future plans, certain things we have, my own company have got under confidentiality. And is this something we can share, or should we only share non-confidential information during the pitch?
Michael and Jason, any one of you can take that.
Jason, you want to take that? Hello? Oh, Jason.
Can you hear us, Michael? You can go ahead. Please take that.
Sure. Hi, Nick. I think it's a good question. So, we recommend, if that's a kind of business secret, we don't really recommend you to disclose during the pitch. So we do have an agreement with the round 1, round 2 judges, and also the future round judges with a confidentiality. So and when you sign up for the competition, also we have an agreement, and when you click on the application, that you already clicked that the agreement on confidentiality. So basically it's all protected, but we strongly encourage you not to disclose your business secret, any proprietary secrets that in the interview.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. And I'm going to take a final question from Lucy Wanjuho.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So I just wanted to clarify, in the round 2, would it be okay for somebody to use the pitch that they submitted in the application? Because I remember it had a financial slide. Or would you recommend that we need to polish the pitches and present the financials separately? I just want to understand whether that is still a valid pitch deck to use for the round 2 presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucy. So I think this is a good question too. So it really depends on how you feel more comfortable, to do a 5-minute pitch. If you want to use the pitch, yeah, feel free to use it. And then some of the people, they just speak to it, and then if the judges asking for deeper numbers, and then they have to show, on their, or share the screen to show the statements, and then they did that. So that's how it works, last year. So yeah, my encouragement is, just use your most comfortable way to present. If you want to show your PowerPoint and show your deck, feel free to do it within the 5 minutes.
Thank you, Michael. And I think one thing that's important.
Can I add one thing?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Vanessa.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to add one point on that, because as as the second round just last year, I think one of the key part was we read through the materials before we talked to the candidate, right? So to a certain extent, you already have a background in our head. But a lot of times the words on the paper are buzzwords, right? So, I think when we do presentation, a lot of time we felt that we need to make it as grand as possible and put in as much like, synergies, whatever buzzword, right? But sometimes, as a VC, right, I would read it, but then at the meeting, I would still ask the entrepreneur to present it as they would like to talk about, right? With the human, with the passion, right? And I would actually advise not to repeat, we are a global, pharmaceutical company looking to make a differentiation in oncology, right? Right. But whereas, I'm trying to build a healthcare company that will create drugs that are, impactful to cancer's patient, right? So writing is one thing, but presenting and talking is actually the other thing. So I would remind candidates to be a little bit more natural and talk about it the way that they believe in it, as opposed to writing in buzzwords, right?
Definitely, Vanessa. And I think it's key. My mom always says, speak like you're speaking to your grandmother. So make sure that you make that person understand exactly what you're trying to do. Think about speaking to your grandmother and trying to explain, for example, business in the tech space, what solution it's going to bring, what problem it's solving, so that the judges can really understand you and not, oh, we're going to use AI and but what are you saying? What are you saying? So be as precise as possible and as concise as possible. That's really key. And I'm going to give a hand over to Jason before we move on to the next section of our conversation today. I know that Jason has some last words for our group today. Jason?
Not sure Jason's connection is working. Angela, is it possible to take one more question?
Yeah, I can take one more question. I see Jason also just joined now. So I'll just take one more question and then Jason, you're going to connect soon after. We've got a question from Minsob Logao. I hope I'm pronouncing your name okay. I see you've got a hand up. Minsob, you can go ahead.
Hello, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, okay. Let's have that question go first. Apologize for my connection woes here.
No problem. Let's hear from Minsob and then Jason will come to you right after. Minsob, are you here? I think Jason, go ahead. It appears we've also lost.
Je confondais. Allô, vous m'écoutez? Je confondais.
Hello, I hope you can hear me. Was a little bit confused. So since we don't have much time, I'll go very fast. I am a technician. And my company is based on one of my inventions, but I don't have any training as far as accounting is concerned. So I work with a team that know everything there is to know about accounts, and the proof of that is that we are part of the top 50. So I would like to know, during the 5 minutes pitch, if I am asked questions on accounts and anything that has to do with figures, would I be at a disadvantage since I am not well versed in that field? Thank you.
Michael, Jason.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Sure, I'll chime in. I think every founder of a company has their strengths and weaknesses. I think that's clear. And as our judges have commented before, our judges are quite flexible. And I think as long as the situation is made clear, and the founder, I think really should be able to have at least a baseline understanding of their numbers. I think that would be the expectation. Now, if it gets deeper into things like unit economics and things that are more complicated, maybe the judges will give a pass. But I think each founder should at least have a firm grasp of the overall picture.
Thank you so much. And I hope, Minsob, you're answered. Michael, do you have anything to add there?
Je suis très satisfait de la réponse. Merci beaucoup.
I am very much satisfied with the answer. I thank you.
I think, Jason, the now comes over to you
Oh,
for
great.
the final word.
I saw a question in the chat, so I'll answer it in terms of how much we're pitching for. So just so the process is clear, once you get to the top 10, each one of the top 10 will receive $100,000. And the first, second, and third place that comes out of the finale at the end of the year, the first place is $300,000, the second place is $250,000, and the third place is $150,000. And so that those are the grant distribution breakouts once you make it to the top 10. And so that's what is at stake in terms of the financial amounts. I wanted to close by really, let me double down on a lot of the themes that the previous judges have said. And I really thank everyone for joining us today. I've seen judges spend a lot of time trying to understand the business, a lot of time in all the different years that we've hosted the judging. The mission can be clear, the impact, the personality, but the next level is the judges not only want to understand the business as a whole, but how do you make money? Who are your customers? And then they'll try to determine, is that sustainable? And is that something that can grow? And so in my experience, I found that a majority of the time is spent trying to figure that out. And one tip that I have is that the clearer that you can make that to the judges, the more time you'll have to tell them all the other good stuff about you and your business. So don't let that weigh down your opportunity, because you will have, essentially just 1 hour with the judges. So that's just my final piece of advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael, any final piece from you?
No, I just I have a request, Angela. Before we move to the other section, and then can we switch on our camera and take a good photo? Because
Sure.
I think this is a historical moment. I don't want to keep some records.
Definitely. So as Michael is saying, wherever you are, please put your camera on. We're going to take a group photo of all of us, as well as our top 50, to mark this historical moment with all our African business heroes. So cameras on. I'm going to call you out if I see you and your camera is off. I'll call you out. I'm scrolling through right now. If your camera is off, I'm calling you out. Ooh, I'm seeing such beautiful, happy faces. Everyone, camera on. This is a group of heroes, Michael. This is a group of winners. Everyone's camera is on. Let's do it.
One, two, three. Smile. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
This is amazing. I feel like a child in a candy store, because entrepreneurship on the continent makes me feel like that. And if I'm saying a group of young people who are so interested in participating, I get to feel like that. And the next section now of this event is so exciting. The idea today is to make sure that you interact. 50 entrepreneurs from 16 different countries on the continent. We want you to be able to trade with each other. I know we've been talking a lot about the Africa Free Trade Agreement and debating amongst ourselves. So this is such a great opportunity for us to just interact with other entrepreneurs, see what they're about, see if there's any areas or opportunities to collaborate, or even opportunities to learn from one another, understand what the barriers of entry in different countries are, which is what this next session is about. So essentially, we're going to now divide all 50 of you into 7 rooms. So in those 7 rooms, you'll get an opportunity to just interact and network. If you've ever been into an event, right, there's like groups of people that gather with a cup of coffee to say, hi, I'm so and this is what I'm about. So this is what we're about to do now. If you're a teetotaler like myself, you might have your cup of tea, and you're going to get into 7 different rooms where we're just going to interact, tell each other about our businesses, our hopes. You can even ask about this competition, but it's really an opportunity for you to learn about other entrepreneurs on the continent. I really encourage participation, because that's what entrepreneurship and growth is about. So whatever room that you get assigned to, please make sure that you participate in that room. We're going to have 40 minutes of conversation. And after that 40 minutes, you guys are going to be brought back immediately into this main room. And then we're going to separate again, and then you're gonna meet different types of people. So wherever you are, introduce yourself, ask questions, brag about your business. If you're excited about somebody's business, ask questions. So we are going to do that right now. Keep your notebooks ready. If you want to share LinkedIn links, etc., feel free to use the chat boxes on there to be able to interact with one another. So we're going to do that now, and then I'll see you back here in 40 minutes.